Hi, welcome to No Raggedy Faith. My name is Michelle, and today I'd like to begin by showing you the finished page from yesterday on Luke 2, 1 through 4, where we talked about how God was not surprised by our circumstances any more than he was surprised by Joseph and Mary's. And he uses our circumstances to bring us to the place we need to be, and then he works in our lives and the lives of those around us. We need to use even these moments to point to him. And so that was my finished page from yesterday. Luke 2, verse 5 and 6. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born. You know, they say timing is everything, and while that may not be completely true, it certainly is important when a child is about to be born. Many husbands can testify to the significance of the words, "It's time," when spoken by their wives in haste regarding the coming of their child. I'm sure that Joseph and Mary did not want to hear or say these words as they were entering the city of Bethlehem and trying to find a place to stay. Yet here they were. They had obeyed the decree of Caesar Augustus, and as a result, they were far from the comforts of home. The plans they had been making for months had gone by the wayside. They were now in a new city, surrounded by new faces, and I'm sure they longed for home as they hoped and prayed that God would bring them safely home before the child arrived. However, anyone who has ever had a child knows they don't exactly come when you want them to. Some come early, others late. Mary and Joseph would have said this child was no different. He was not on Mary or Joseph's time frame. He would enter the world in God's timing, and God's timing was now. The Son of the Most High would indeed be born in Bethlehem. But that had been God's plan all along. Generations beforehand, Isaiah had even told the people of Israel that Emmanuel would be born in Bethlehem. It was part of the promise of God that they had passed down from generation to generation to instill hope in the people of Israel. I can't help but wonder if this fact had slipped their minds, but I'm sure they were thinking of Isaiah's words that night as circumstances began to unfold. Maybe they uttered the words, "We should have known. We should have prepared." But regardless of their thoughts or their regrets, they were here in Bethlehem, and it was time for the baby to be born. Certainly, this was not the time, the circumstance, or the place they had imagined. Caesar Augustus had never issued a decree like this before. They certainly had not planned on Mary having a child before they were married, especially one that was not Joseph's. And even after discovering she was pregnant, they would not have chosen this moment in time. But God had. God, the Most High, had chosen this moment and this place for the Son to arrive. And we have already seen how nothing can thwart the plans of God. As God's people, you and I, we need to try to understand his timing. God has set appointed times in our lives when his plan for us unfolds. Some refer to these moments as divine appointments. They may fit right into our lives and schedules without notice, but often they occur during circumstances that are far from our own choosing. It's in these moments we need to know God has a plan for our lives, just as he had a plan for Mary and Joseph, and even for Jesus. God's timing is difficult to understand because our desires and our hopes, even our dreams, can be pushed to the side. Sometimes it may seem as though God's timing is too early or too late or doesn't come at all. Regardless of where we find ourselves, when our circumstances change, we should be asking ourselves, is this a divine appointment? Has God brought me to this very moment for a purpose? We need to be willing to surrender our schedule, our desires, even our hopes and dreams to God's timing. And as we walk through this day, think about how your circumstances fit into the timing of God and surrender them to Him. Now, today we are going to be journaling this passage about God's timing in our journal. You can see I have put my verse here again, so I won't make the same mistake of accidentally putting a separate verse down. And as far as today, I'm really not sure. I have to do some hunting to figure out. I'm looking for something that has to do with time and plans and something along those lines. So let me take a peek through my printables and some of the printables I've collected along the way from different sources and see what we can come up regarding the timing of God. Before we actually begin on this page, I'd like to just take a look at the journal, and specifically the outside of the journal. Now I can see there are some things up here and they're sticking out a little bit, but I need a little bit more something up there. There's quite a bit sticking out down here, and it's all white. So I need something with a little bit of color in here along the way. And I need something a little bit white up here. And looks like I need something along in here. Maybe here on one of these pages. And then I'll need another something back here maybe. And I look at it to see where I need something hanging off a little. It could be fabric, it could be, you know, a lace, it could be a tab, it could be just about anything. But I think I really need to put something on here. And I think I need something that's going to go up here. I have here my little basket that you guys usually can't see. It's up at the head of my desk. And it has a lot of my little favorite things in it to use in my journals. Things that my mother made, things that were my grandmother's, a few things that have been given to me by people. This is a little angel bookmark I had made for my mom, and I found it in her stuff, and I thought I might use that in this journal when it talks about the angel of the Lord saying, "Fear not." But I have that there. I have a little snowflake that my mom crocheted. All sorts of things. And I thought that I would just maybe pick something out of here. Here's a little tidbit of white. Maybe that doesn't go in there. Or maybe one of these. So I'm going to pull some of those out and just kind of keep them with me as an idea of maybe I want to use one of these items. And the rest I'll set aside for now. I have my verse here. And this was the only clock that I could find in the printables I have. And this is one of the printables by Diane Noble. I think it's called Redeeming the Time. And that's Daydream Bible Art. And that's probably the only printable that I have used that is not necessarily Christmas. And this has already been cut, so I need to put this over here regardless of where I really want it to go. I've also chosen some poinsettias. So funny, I have to tell you, in one of the previous videos when I used these, I was in the midst of talking and I called them sunflowers. And I just thought it was so funny. It actually got edited out of the video, but still, it was interesting. And I didn't notice it during the video when I was, taping it, but when I was doing the editing and it came to sunflowers, I really just kept laughing. I couldn't help it. So I have chosen some of these. I think this might be too big. Maybe down here. Oh, and there's two different ones of these. So this one has the cotton without the red poinsettia. And this one has the red poinsettia. I think today I'm going to go for that one. And these are too big to use in that corner, so I'll set those aside. I don't want to cover that up. Maybe this could go down here like this. And this could go here. I don't know. We'll see. The only thing I know for certain is that this is going to go here. Luke 2, 5, and 6. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born. So I thought I really wanted a picture of the baby Jesus in this. And then I thought I would just use these, maybe. The brown in here really goes, whoops, wrong piece. The brown in here goes well with that, but I need a little more pop than that. So I think I will go with one of these, even though it doesn't quite fit. That can go there. And then I have that. This one might fit. These are when I printed the pages at 2 to a page. And those were a couple of things I had cut apart. I think I'll use that and maybe put that up here. That will give me some writing space here to do some journaling. And I think for me it's important to do a little bit of journaling about God's timing, because you know, sometimes God's timing is a little bit hard to understand and to take in, and you know, we want things in our timing, and that just doesn't always happen. You know, that's too big for this, I think. Let me see here. What else? Here's a little piece. That would look great at the bottom, but I think I'm going to put it at the top. I like that. And you'll notice that my book is getting a little full, and so I'm just going to alleviate that problem by opening up my book on that side for sure. I like that. And then that gives me room. I don't really want to cover up this area that I just ripped. I can tape it on the other side, but I don't want to cover that up. I like the 190. It's from a very old ledger book that I have that belonged to my husband's grandmother, I believe. I think this would be the first one to go down. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach this here. Just try to get it in that far. I want to leave a little bit of the writing there, and maybe enough room for a poinsettia in that lower corner. I think that would be good. We'll go ahead and put that down. I think I need to open this up also. And then this I'm going to put here, but you'll notice that this comes off a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and make it look as though it's supposed to look this way. And I could ink around this, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to have to clip that little edge. I do think I want to ink the edges of this clock. And I just kind of go over the edges of it just to, or any place that has white, it kind of antiques it a little bit. That looks a little better, I think. Next, the verse. Let's go ahead and ink around the edges of the verse. So let's just take that and that. I like that. Let me open this back up a little. As you get further in the book, you'll find that you're opening and closing it quite a bit. You want to see what the page looks like without anything else there, but you also want to have it flat to work on. Have this. That would be pretty. I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of this one. The whiteness around it stands out a little too much for me at this point. Sometimes I leave the white because it just adds a little bit, and sometimes I don't. Oh, and don't forget, I want this to go here on this page. I like to frame my pictures. I have this one can go here, and this one can go here. I think it just adds a little something to it, and I like that. I'm going to go ahead and put my clock down, and so it wants to pull off on me. And instead of pushing this all the way down, I'm going to leave it for the moment, and that way I can see exactly where I want it. I'm going to bring that down so I can add a little something up there. But what? I don't know. Also, this will cover up my water spots on this paper. All right, so what could we put? I would like this to go here. I might even go like this. I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. One of the things I like using this glue is you have a little bit of leeway while it's still wet. And even after it dries, if you're really careful, you can still pull things up. I'm not sure that I would use this glue in a journal that I made for someone else, but I certainly will use it for me, because if it comes apart, I can fix it. And I'm just kind of centering that on the page. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And since it is over both fabric and paper, I'm going to use the 3-in-1 glue for this as well. I put the Elmer's glue on the whole thing, but I'm going to go around the edges just with this. I don't want to get the words, but I kind of want it on both that and that. And there we have that. I just close this up so I can see. I need a little flower here, and maybe peeking out from this. So here I go, picking things up again. I kind of want a little something here, but I don't know what that is that I want. I was thinking I kind of like that, and then I have this heart, and I thought it would be nice to put a little bit of a heart there. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I often think that when God does not step in at just the right moment in time, that, you know, maybe he doesn't love me. And I know that's, you know, that's hard to say. It's hard to admit, but there are moments when, in the midst of God's timing not meeting mine, that the thought crosses my mind, you know, if God loved me, he would step in this very moment. And that's not the case. Instead, he waits for the perfect moment. Just like he waited for the perfect moment for Jesus to be born, he waits for the perfect moment in our lives. And when he waits for that perfect moment in our lives, he does what's best for us. You know, there's a verse that says that he works all things out for our good. And that's what we have to believe in the midst of moments when his timing and our timing are not the same. Now, I forgot to ink the top of this, so I'm going to go ahead and ink this, even though there's glue all over my fingers. So when God's timing does not come up exactly in the moment that you think it should, remember that everything he is doing in love. I'm just going to pull this up. There we go. Again, as you go through this day today, remember that God has an appointed time, appointed moments for things to occur in our life. And when He does that, it's not done because He doesn't see our situation. It's not done because He doesn't care what's happening in our life. It's done out of love. And I hope today has been a blessing to you. I'm going to go ahead and do a little journaling, and then tomorrow I will show you the finished page. Let me know in the comments if you're working along with me, and I will talk with you and we'll work together on the next page. Take care. Bye for now.